PewdieCry The Basement, Part 5. The library wasn't hard to find. After all, its entrance was a set of huge double doors that had a plaque on the wall beside it that read Library. Felix unlocked the door and the key jammed in the lock. No matter how hard he pulled, it wouldn't come out, and so they left it. There goes the idea of using it on other doors, Felix muttered. Cry had been quiet for a while, but Felix didn't blame him. This wasn't the best place to have a random conversation. The library was one of those large ones that reached 60 to 80 feet in the sky. They could see it. There were windows at the top of the giant room that let in bright sunlight, and one of the skylights was open. How the fuck do we get up there? Cry shouted, looking at the incredible height. Nothing here is easy, is it? They give us a little bit of hope and then they smother it away. He was breathing hard now, and Felix realized how crazed he looked. Eyes dilated, skin pale, body shaking. He quickly pulled out a bottle of sanity potion. Drink this, Cry. You'll feel better, he said, holding it up to the other blonde. Cry smacked it out of his hand and sent it sailing across the room, the bottle shattering on the tile floor. I don't want to feel better. I want to beat the shit out of the person or people who put us here, he yelled, face reddening. Felix flinched as his voice echoed around the room. Cry had to drink the sanity potion, but how? Suddenly he got an idea, and though it made him uneasy, he knew it had to be done. He took out another sanity potion and took as much in his mouth as he could without swallowing. The taste was horrible and he hated holding it there, but soon it was gone as he grabbed a hold of Cry's cheeks and placed his lips against the other man's, forcing them open and letting the potion slip in. Cry coughed and almost choked as he swallowed the chemical mixture, having no choice but to send it down, seeing as Felix had his mouth covered with his own. Once the liquid was gone, he immediately bit down on the boy's lip. Felix jumped back, feeling the cut along his lip Cry had caused. He glared for a moment, but then forgot all about it as Cry's eyes widened, his mind suddenly clear. I'm so sorry, Cry said, looking at Felix's lip. I couldn't think clearly. His eyes became shadowed again as he looked at the floor, unable to look at Felix at the moment. The other blonde laughed softly. Don't worry about it, Cry. After some examination, the two found there was a staircase leading up to a second story in the library. They went up silently, and upon finding one of those tall ladders you use to reach the higher books, they formed a plan. Sure you can do this? Felix asked, his eyes full of concern, seeing as Cry had one good arm. I climbed a tree with a broken leg before, Cry boasted. I can climb a bookcase with a broken arm. So they made their way up the ladder, and when they reached the top rung, Felix made Cry go first. If you fall, I'll catch you, he said confidently. Slowly they made their way up, throwing books down here and there to make handholds that became footholds. They were almost at the top, the warmth of the sunlight on their faces, when Cry's excitedness made him misjudge his footing. One foot slipped, and with only the toes of his other foot on the shelf, that one went too. Now he hung on with one hand, his muscles screaming with effort. He managed to hang on for a few seconds before losing his grip. As promised, Felix caught him, but he caught him by the arm. Now Felix held on with one hand, his body leaning out over the hard floor below. He tried to pull his friend up, but Cry kept moving and seemed to be freaking out too much to try and get back on the bookcase. They stayed suspended like that for at least a minute before Felix's hand finally gave, and they began a 70-foot descent to their deaths.